did see some amount of red after facing a legal setback. Also in focus was VIP Industries. Last but not least, we delve into the key market events to watch out for in tomorrow's trading session. Alright, but on to our first segment of the day. Vivek now joins in from the big wall with the top movers and shakers today. Vivek, over to you.
Well, thank you so much for that. Well, quite a bit of a topsy-turvy session, but like you mentioned, the market breadth was quite favorable, especially for the broader end of the markets. Well, quite a few movers and shakers. First on the list of gainers, of course, was Eternal, the top nifty gainer. Good volumes today. A lot of the new age companies did quite well in the session, and that brings us to the second name, which was Ola Electric. Q1 quite muted, but again, a sequential improvement. Again, a very strong FY26 guidance is what kept the stock high in the session, almost perched at the upper circuit when we ended the trade. Pharma stocks, again, one particular set of stocks that did quite well in the session. There were a few laggards, of course, but overall, the entire pharma pack today did quite a bit of buying activity. Names like Sun Pharma, Loris. We also saw Newland Labs, that ended the session at the 20% upper circuit limit. Some names from the broader end of the markets, India Mart, the top gainer as far as the mid-cap index was concerned. That particular stock on good volumes ended at the upper circuit. And capital marketplace today, especially a name like BSE, some positive news flow, especially when it came to the Jane Street going ahead and depositing the money in the escrow account. On the back of that, BSE did see bounce back in the session, up almost 4%. Quite a few laggards as well. Divi Labs, key amongst them, one of the top laggards even on the Nifty, recouped quite a bit of its losses, but its key client Novartis is likely to see pricing pressure in one of its cardio drugs. AU Small Finance Bank, that stock was under pressure throughout the trading session, a double downgrade coming in from Kotak Institutional Equities. The Nifty IT pack, that pack, most of the stocks there were under pressure. Names like Wipro, names like TechM, all of them ended the session over 1% lower in the. And lastly, DMart, expectations going into this particular results were quite muted, disappointed the street. Even on that front, stock ended low by over 1% today.
Thank you very much for that. Those were the top stock movers. Let's now go across to our guest, Sudip Bandyopadhyay, Group Chairman at Inditrade Capital, is still with us. Thakkar from ICICI Securities joins in. Gentlemen, thank you. Jay, let me start with you. All in all, we managed to recover quite a bit from the day's low. The day's low today was 25,002, so about an 80-point recovery. What does that tell you, and what's the setup for tomorrow?
Good afternoon to you, Rima. Well, see, Nifty, since a couple of trading sessions, we have been seeing that, it's trading with a negative bias, and so is Bank Nifty, but then Bank Nifty managed to, hold on quite well today. Relatively, it outperformed the Nifty, and that is one of the reason, Rima, why Nifty bounced back, and we have two major results for this week as far as Nifty private sector banks are concerned. HDFC, ICICI, and then we have HCL Tech as well. From the IT pack. So result season has started now. So far it has been okay, or maybe below expectations, and hence Nifty has given up most of its gains which it actually got. Post the breakout from 25,200, 300 range, which was earlier acting as a resistance. Now it's back within those levels, So I think that 25,300 now going forward will act as a resistance. And unless we are not seeing a close above those levels, the trend for Nifty, Rima, would be a bit of sideways to negative. The volatility is expected to rise from here on. The India VIX had fallen to 11, and the IVs in fact had gone down as much as 10 and 11 on Nifty and Bank Nifty respectively. And if you look further into the IVs, then the implied volatility percentile for both Nifty and Bank Nifty had fallen until 3.2 and 1.2 respectively, which is the lowest reading, I would say. It is at the extremes, indicating that IVs are likely to rise coming days, which will definitely weigh some pressure on Nifty on the upside. Generally 70 to 75% of the time when IVs are rising, markets fall. So 25,300 Rima, until those levels aren't taken off on a closing basis, the trend will be sideways to negative. On the downside, 24,800 is a very critical support. So the range for this week is 24,800 to 25,300.
Okay, 24,800 to 25,800. Well, now let's get to a CNBC TV 18 news break, which is confirmed. Promoters of luggage manufacturer VIP Industries will sell 32% stake to multiples PE and Mithun Sacheti. The promoter, Dilip Piramal, tells CNBC TV 18 an ownership change was needed to put the business on track. Mangla Malu is here to tell us more. Mangla.
Well, it was the deal of the day for sure. Promoters of VIP Industries decided to sell up to 32% of their stake to Multiples Private Equity and a consortium of other investors as well. Initially, the stock opened lower because the deal price was 388 rupees per share. The stock had already seen a 75% rally from its 52-week low in the run-up to this deal. But more importantly, all the excesses were out of the system once the news was in. But thereafter, the belief that maybe the new owners could turn this company around, a stock which has been an underperformer in the sector, could actually do a lot better going forward. The street is betting on that, and thereafter we saw that recovery from the lows on the counter itself. We spoke to Dilip Piramal, who joined us in our studios, and was fairly candid. He said that he had no option but to sell this business because there was a management crisis. More importantly, senior leadership wasn't performing, and at the same time none of his family members were willing to take up managerial positions and run the company on a day-to-day basis as well. So left with no option and loss in market share as the business was not doing well over the last few years. He had to go ahead and sell to private equity. The choice for private equity was rather simple. He said private equity investors are usually betting on improving the value of the company and increasing the valuation as well going forward and the profitability, and that was his best bet. He will hold 20% stake in the company, will have to pare it down to almost 8% in the next 3 to 5 years, for which he has a right of first refusal with Multiples Private Equity as well. He says the company needs good management to get its old mojo back. Let's see how that performs. For now, the street is betting on the ability of Multiples and the legacy of brand VIP to take it forward from here on. Let's hear out what Dilip Piramal had to say to us.
In the last 5 years, we have not been doing well. We've had a management, I would say, crisis in the last 2-3 years, and our market shares are going down, and the younger generation is not interested in the management. Of course, in India, there are some exceptions where even the 7th generation is doing well. So there was an absolute need, in my case, to have a change of ownership and management. So it is for the interest of the shareholders. I think we needed a change of management with change of ownership. You see, change of ownership, the party has skin in the game. And why then, private, as